Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am incredibly pumped to have you here today, especially those of you who are students or young professionals just stepping out into your careers. We're going to build a really critical, completely non-reactive framework for your upcoming professional journeys. You see, the classroom is great, it prepares you for the work itself, but it almost never prepares you for the friction that comes with it. I'm talking about figuring out how to professionally tell someone their idea is, well, terrible. Today, we're changing that. We're taking some definitive source material on workplace dynamics and turning it into a literal survival guide that you can use on day one. Okay, let's dive into this. Are you truly prepared for the human friction you're absolutely gonna face? Seriously, think about it for a second. You can have all the technical skills in the world, you can know your industry inside and out, but when you're suddenly dropped into a room with totally different personalities, competing priorities, and incredibly high stakes, friction isn't just a possibility, it's a guarantee. So, are you ready for it? Because here's the reality. Work is about people, not just tasks. Professional environments are inherently stressful. Deadlines are crazy tight, budgets are constrained, and the expectations are just sky high. So if you're feeling a little anxiety about entering the workforce, that is completely valid. Because the most complex variables you will ever deal with aren't the spreadsheets or the crazy software algorithms, it's navigating Dave from accounting on a Monday morning. To actually handle this, we need structure. The source material outlines 4 core workplace conflicts: unfair work distribution, communication misunderstandings, coworker attitude issues, and responsibility disputes. And notice what happens when we visually organize these otherwise chaos-inducing situations into clean little data points. It instantly removes the emotional weight. Suddenly, an overwhelming nightmare at the office just becomes a recognizable category. It becomes manageable. Let's move to our first category and see how this builds. Unfair work distribution. This is defined as the perception, or the harsh reality, of an imbalanced workload among team members. We have all felt this, right? That crushing feeling of being completely overwhelmed, grinding away until 9 p.m., while a colleague seems to be coasting on a 2-hour lunch break. Whether it's actually real or just a perception, it creates a massive amount of resentment that can completely poison a team's dynamic. Next up, we have communication misunderstandings. This happens when the intended message simply doesn't match the received message. It sounds kind of trivial, right? But it's actually catastrophic. An email read with the wrong tone, a super vague instruction in a meeting, an assumption about a deadline. These simple little misalignments in communication can snowball into massive professional hurdles and ultimately a direct hit to the company's bottom line. Then there's coworker attitude issues. This is the interpersonal friction caused by negative or just flat-out uncooperative behavior. I want you to imagine, right now, dealing with a deeply difficult colleague. Someone who shoots down literally every idea, someone who sighs heavily when asked for help, or someone who just radiates negativity. It completely drains the energy right out of the room and it halts productivity in its tracks. It is a highly urgent problem that you have to navigate immediately. Finally, we look at responsibility disputes. This is the classic age-old conflict of who's at fault or whose job is this anyway? Look, when a project succeeds, everyone wants their name on it. But the second a client is angry, suddenly it's a ghost town. Fingers point, defensive walls go up, and the actual problem just gets ignored. So, with these 4 major categories of workplace landmines just waiting for you out there, well, if you don't figure out how to survive them, your career is going to stall fast. So, how exactly do you navigate this inevitable friction? The answer lies in a super specific methodology. The source material provides us with a really clear 3-step action plan: handle calmly, identify the cause, and propose a solution. This right here is your core tactical playbook. Whenever you face one of those 4 conflicts we just mapped out, you run it through this exact sequence. So the absolutely crucial point here is that step 1, handling the problem calmly, is entirely an internal shift. Before you send off an angry email, before you confront a coworker, before you complain to a manager, you have to master your own internal state. You can't control the chaos around you, but you possess absolute control over your reaction to it. You literally have to become the eye of the hurricane. Staying calm matters for a few huge reasons. It prevents immediate escalation, it clears your mind, and it preps you for what's next. And I want to be super clear here. Staying calm is not about being a pushover. It is definitely not about ignoring the problem or letting people walk all over you. It is the mandatory, absolute prerequisite to actually solving the issue. I mean, you can't fix a burning building if you're running around panicking with the rest of the crowd, right? All right, once you've secured that internal calm, you transition right into step 2, Identify the root cause. This is the diagnostic phase. Your job here is to basically put on your detective hat. You have to look completely past the surface level emotion, past that incredibly annoying tone of voice your coworker used, and find the actual mechanical failure in the workflow. Now, what's really interesting about this is a direct directive from our source material. Identify the causes of problems. Notice what word is completely missing there. Blame. Identifying the cause removes blame entirely from the equation. It shifts your brain away from John is a terrible teammate to John and I actually have conflicting understandings of this project timeline. You are focusing purely on the facts, and facts are things you can actually fix. Which leads us perfectly into step 3, propose solutions. We are shifting now to the most proactive phase of the entire framework. Look, anyone, literally anyone, can point fingers and complain about a problem. But synthesizing a well-thought-out solution, that is the exact metric leadership uses to separate a chronic complainer from a true professional. When you're proposing that solution, you've got to hit 3 main criteria. Focus on the future, make it actionable, and collaborate on the fix. You are no longer dwelling on what went wrong yesterday. You're actively charting the path for what goes right tomorrow. You're taking a grievance, running it through your calm, analytical mind, and transforming it into an actionable fix that makes the whole team better. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact dividing line between success and failure in these tense moments. We have the constructive solution, proposing fixes using our 3-step framework, versus the destructive reaction, which relies on emotional or aggressive communication. This is your ultimate what not to do visual. The source material gives a really firm warning against taking that destructive path. Emotional communication totally clouds your professional judgment. Aggressive communication literally destroys whatever trust you have built with your colleagues. But honestly, the worst part? Both of these approaches completely fail to solve the original conflict. If you yell at a coworker over an unfair workload, the workload doesn't magically get lighter. You just have an unfair workload, a super hostile work environment, and a massive weight on your shoulders. The 3-step action plan protects you from this exact trap. So, as you gear up to step into your next role, your next meeting, or even your next big project, I'm going to leave you with this one question to ask yourself. When the inevitable friction finally hits, will you react with emotion or will you respond with a solution? The choice is entirely yours, and it will absolutely define your professional career. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.